You're tuned to Evergreen Media Network. I am Cindy Schwartz, and this is the Patient Partner Show. Jeannie Roller is my co-host. Jeannie, we are talking about 3 doctors with history of sexual misconduct stay licensed. This happened in San Diego, California. Unbelievable. It can happen in any state as far as I am concerned. Hopefully not. Although some states have, I shouldn't say that, some states have seemingly better laws than other states. Because it does say the medical board where this happened said it's simply following the law and would enforce tougher rules if lawmakers pass them. And we've done shows on that before, too. And now we're going to get into talking about lobbyists and medical blah, 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 hierarchy and all this kind of thing. But, Jeannie, you have the story on this one, so go ahead with it. It's just as disturbing as every other disturbing story that we talk about on this show when people are sexually assaulted during or for a medical procedure.
Yeah. According to this article, California had passed a law that was supposed to be zero tolerance for doctors who cross the line with their patients. However, there seems to be a loophole. And the lady in here, Marianne Hollingsworth, I'm familiar with her on my Facebook. She talks about how she feels that the medical board protects doctors first, and even though the mission statement says their primary purpose is to protect California consumers, they always try to protect the doctors first. Which, I think you can also lump in there nurses from my experience. But it was California AB 1636 that has the loophole. And there was a state doctor. There was, 3 of them. And one of them, the Medical Board of California allowed a gynecologist who had sex with a patient to get his revoked license back. And then since the investigation that this news station did, they've learned that in addition to him, there was 3 others who were allowed to keep their medical licenses despite findings of sexual misconduct by the state. And you were talking about this one doctor, Cindy, about he did the exam without his gloves on.
Mm-hmm. So he did an internal pap smear GYN test without gloves.
Mm-hmm. And then he talked to the patient about his sexual feelings.
Mm-hmm.
So, wow,
I'm stymied. I am absolutely stymied. I don't even know what to say anymore about some of this stuff. And then he dropped his pants.
Well, that was, he dropped his pants and exposed himself.
Right.
And asked the woman to have sex with him.
Mm-hmm.
He was on probation. To start with.
Right.
This doctor's license had been revoked in Texas after California banned him from seeing female patients for 5 years.
Right.
We've talked about this before. There needs to be a nationwide database of medical sexual offenders, all of them, doctors, nurses, technicians.
Any medical personnel, yes. Anyone, yeah. It used to be, I think I'm saying this correctly, on that same line, it used to be that DUIs were not nationwide known. Like, in other words, and I know this for a fact because of somebody that I know, certainly I'm not going to mention any names, got a DUI in a certain state, then got another one in that same state, then moved to another state and got 2 more, and one didn't know about the other because the person was getting that second level DUI legal stuff where it should have been the 4th level, and then went to the 3rd state, and if you count him up, it would have been his 5th DUI, but it wasn't. It was only his 1st. I think now and this is 20, 30 years ago, and now I think they all talk with each other about them. I think I'm saying that correctly. It should be the same, if not more stringent for this kind of thing. But like it said, kind of a cop-out that the medical board said it's simply following in the law. We also talked, you and I, a couple of years ago with a case in the state of, that one happened to be in the state of Texas, where 25, 26 women were sexually assaulted by cardiologists, fondling their breasts and all kinds of stuff. And that particular police officer, it was a detective that I talked with, literally was in tears saying, this is all I can do to this guy. It's like and I don't know the police terms, but it's like a level 1 or a level 0 misdemeanor or something like that. That's all I can do to him. We don't have any more laws to hold this guy accountable for. And if I remember correctly, that doctor didn't lose his license, but don't quote me on that. I can't remember. It's too long ago when we've had sadly, too many stories about the same thing. But yeah.
Well, Miss Hollingsworth stated that, a doctor's license was revoked in Texas, but yet California didn't. So, I mean, it speaks volumes, but I take that the loophole in the law is that if the sexual misconduct was done before a certain date, that in 2023, this law came into effect. And I think if the sexual misconduct occurred before that, then there's the loophole that it doesn't start until 2023, any reportings of sexual misconduct. So past misconducts are falling through the hole in the floor, basically. And then they talked about a California physician who was accused of sexual misconduct and gross negligence was allowed to move to Florida, where his license was listed as being clear. So, I mean, there still is a problem between states on this information. I don't know what these databases report, if they're talking to one another. Who knows what is happening, but it is just missing why sexual misconduct is not being taken seriously enough.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. Yeah, that they want to stick behind the doctors because you don't want it to turn the other way around. I mean, they have a lot of time and money and whatever invested in education or whatever for them to become a doctor. I get that. Totally get that. And they should effect the what am I trying to say? The respect that goes along with all of that. But when these abuses happened, what happens to us? You can't defend them above the law or above the ethics of it. I mean, okay, in this case, I'm even saying that to myself, this is all the law is saying you can do. You can't do that. Yes, they're afforded the respect. Somebody has to be the gatekeeper, if you will, for this stuff. But you know what? I'm not going to mention any names about this, but I talked to a well-known federal senator. If I said the person's name, you know the person in 2 seconds. And I said, this is national. These things are national. And that person said to me, I don't see it as a national problem.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, well, at least you talk with me. Now I know where you stand, but this is national. This should be federal. Yeah. I'm sorry. I don't want to see guidelines and blah, blah, blah. But when you're not holding these things accountable, there should be some kind of benchmark, blah, blah, gatekeeper kind of a thing that's happened nationally, one talking to the other. It's just presenting itself that it has to be that way.
That this law fails in is even if there's an accusation of misconduct, the patients still do not know because this law doesn't cover that. It has to be a conviction, or whatever, a concrete decision. So, I mean, that is scary too. But I can see how it would be scary for a doctor to be accused and then having, false accusations. Yeah.
I don't want that either. On that note, Jeannie, I'm going to say on that note, we're going to talk about it on another podcast. Stay listening to Evergreen Media Network.